What's up, basketball fans, and welcome back to the Betting Pros YouTube channel, where we bring you the latest and greatest into the world of NBA betting. My name is Matt Modi. I am the host of the Fast Break Bets live stream presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, and we've got something pretty special lined up for you guys today. What we're doing is we're diving into the top 10 second half bets for you guys to place for this NBA season, hopefully bringing you some pretty big wins with some pretty juicy bangers. We've got enticing props to expert picks, and we're giving you the best odds on the market on DraftKings Sportsbook. We've got you covered for everything. But before we get into everything, I do want to talk to you about a 1-year premium subscription giveaway to Betting Pros. So if you want a chance at that 1-year premium subscription giveaway, Betting Pros is a place where you can bet smart, not hard. All you need to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel, which hopefully you're doing already. And then comment on this video. Comment, let us know your thoughts, subscribe, and that's how you get entered. We're going to be announcing a winner right here on this channel, so make sure to turn those notifications on so you can be alerted when new episodes drop. You can come in and claim your prize. 1-year premium subscription giveaway. Comment, subscribe, and that's how you can be entered. Bet number 1. Nikola Jokic to win the MVP, minus 150 odds at DraftKings. I know that this is obviously super chalky, but I did want to try and get a prediction out for all of the major awards. And just because Jokic was the favorite, I think he's going to win. So I don't want to choose anybody just for the sake of choosing somebody different, right? I think Jokic is going to win, so I went with him. One side note is that I'm not going to have anything for Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year because those are essentially all but wrapped up, and those odds aren't even worth betting. So I had to start with a little bit of a chalky play on my MVP prediction, but I think the chalk play is the correct one. Maybe there was a chance that Embiid was going to go back-to-back. No more, because he's not going to hit the minimum games threshold. And for Jokic, he's the betting favorite for a reason. He's just having a ridiculous year. And even though I don't think the Nuggets are going to end the season as the top seed in the West, we've seen the previous couple years that doesn't really matter. And sure, Jokic might have taken a little bit of a step back from the absurd start to the year he was having. Still having an absurd year, right? He's averaging over 26 points per game at 26.2. That's the 13th most in the NBA. He's averaging 9 assists per game. That's the 4th most in the NBA. And he's averaging about 12.2 rebounds per game, which is also 4th most in the NBA. So he's top 13 in points, top 5 in both rebounds and assists. And the advanced stats obviously are going to be very favorable towards Jokic because they always are. So for MVP, the chalk play is the correct one. Jokic to win MVP, minus 150 odds. For our second play, I'm taking the Timberwolves to win the Northwest Division. This is at plus 135 odds. It actually is a pretty tough division, right? We got the trio of the Timberwolves and then the Thunder and the Nuggets. As of right now, the Timberwolves are the betting favorites at plus 135. The Nuggets are slightly behind them at plus 140. And then the Thunder are a pretty distant third at plus 320. Now for this one, I'm actually not going to spend too much time on it because I have a couple more plays with the Timberwolves that I will get into more detail. The only thing that I'll say is that I do think that the Timberwolves end the season as the top seed in the West. So naturally, I think that they're going to win their division as well. And for this specific bet, we do have the option that the Clippers could win the West, but the Timberwolves still win their division, which would obviously cash this play for us. So that's our second one, Timberwolves to win the Northwest Division, plus 135 odds. Bet number 3, Warriors make the playoffs, plus 160 odds at DraftKings. So at the time of this recording, the Warriors are currently the 10th seed in the West. They're a full 4.5 games back from the 6th seed, which means 4.5 games back from being out of the play-in entirely. And they're about 3.5 games back from the 7th seed, which obviously being the 7th, 8th seed makes it way more likely to advance. So yes, it is a tough road for the Warriors to make the playoffs. I think they can do it, and that's also why we're getting it for plus 160 odds. Since Draymond Green returned from suspension, granted it's only been 10 games, so a little bit of a smaller sample size, but the Warriors have been on fire. Draymond's been playing great, and they seem to have found something in Jonathan Kuminga, who's been playing great for them as well. Ever since that weird report where he came out and said that he didn't think that Kerr was helping him develop, that he thought that that Kerr had lost faith in Kuminga, he's been playing great. But in those 10 games, the Warriors are 7-3. But what I like about this is they're outscoring their opponents by 19.4 points per 100 possessions. That's crazy. For context, on the entire season, the Celtics have the best plus-minus in the NBA. They're outscoring their opponents by plus 8.3 per 100 possessions, and the Warriors are at plus 19.4. And they played some tough games in that stretch as well, so it's not like they're fattening up against easy opponents. Another reason why I'm on the Warriors, they've been playing really well on the road. They've been one of the most profitable road teams in the NBA, and that's not how it was. A lot of the Warriors, especially for the post-Kevin Durant era, they've been terrible on the road and great at home. Not the case this year. They also have the fourth easiest remaining strength of schedule as well, so they do have the opportunity eventually to fatten up against worse opponents. The three teams ahead of the Warriors as of right now are the Lakers, the Mavericks, and the Kings. I'll call my shot. I think out of the play-in for the West, it's going to be the Mavericks and it's going to be the Warriors. So for plus 160 odds, I'm on the Warriors to make the playoffs, and I think the Lakers and the Kings drop. So with that thought in mind of who I think is going to drop out of the playoffs, let's get to our fourth play, which is that the Kings miss the playoffs, plus 220 odds at DraftKings. I just called my shot that I think it's going to be the Mavericks and the Warriors, so might as well get some pretty juicy odds on the Kings to miss the playoffs. They were the 3 seed last year, and they were a really fun story. I have not been impressed with the Kings this year, especially recently, and especially De'Aaron Fox, who's really struggled. The first 26 games of the year, Fox was great. He was averaging 30 points per game. He was shooting 40% from 3. He was having over 6 assists per game as well. He was great. Since then, the last 20 games, he's averaging fewer than 22 points per game. He's at 21.8. He's shooting 33.6% from deep. And he's only averaging about 4.6 assists per game as well. Literally across the board, his stats are down. Rebounds, points, assists. He's shooting worse. Everything about De'Aaron Fox has been worse. Maybe he gets it together, has a nice run post-All-Star break. Maybe those shooting splits were an outlier and he will never be able to recapture that. What's really concerning to me about the Kings is that their net rating on offense is of the 14th best offense, the 14th ranked offense in the NBA. Sure, 14th isn't terrible. Last year, the Kings had the best offense in the entire NBA, literally number 1 offensive net rating. That's how they have to win games. Being all the way down at 14th, that's a concern. De'Aaron Fox playing poorly is obviously concerning. So for all that, I think that the Kings miss the playoffs, and I think we're getting pretty good odds at plus 220. Bet number 5, Timberwolves win the number 1 seed in the West. This is at plus 185 odds. As I promised, we'd get to the Timberwolves, and here we go. I'm a little bit concerned about the Timberwolves offense, but to me, that's going to show up in the playoffs, not as much in the regular season. Sure, we've seen it in a couple games, but that defense that the Timberwolves have, they're just going to gobble up regular season wins. They're just going to eat them for lunch. But they are currently the 1 seed in the West. They're a full game lead over the Thunder and a 1.5 game lead over the Clippers and the Nuggets. So despite the fact that they are the current leader, obviously a ton can shake out because of how close those 4 teams are together. But the reason why I'm on the Timberwolves, their defense is just going to lead to so many regular season wins. Their defense is incredible. The best defense in the NBA according to net rating by a mile. They have a defensive net rating of 108.5. The second best defense is the Cavaliers at 109.9, a full point different worse than the number 1 team. And for context, last year, they just have the best defense in the NBA by far. According to defensive net rating, the best defense in the NBA by a wide margin too. The next best team is the Cavaliers. They're at 110.3. That's a massive gap between them as the best defense and the Cavaliers as the second best. And then for context, if you want to look at the team that had the best defense last year, they had a defensive net rating of 109.9. So technically, they've had the best defense of the past 2 years in the NBA when the offenses have exploded. Of the top 4 seeds in the West, they do have the easiest strength of schedule remaining as well. And I like the fact that they also, in the entire NBA, have the best record against teams over 500, even better than the Celtics. So even though they are the favorite for plus 185 odds, you're still getting pretty good value there. Play number 6, Steph Curry to win the Clutch Player Award. This is at plus 190 odds. This is another situation where he is currently the betting favorite at plus 190, but I still think that plus 190 is pretty good value. Now, it's only the second year of this award, so we don't have a ton of historical precedents and what to look for and all that stuff. But I do really like this play for Steph Curry, and if you want some stats, I can give you stats. Steph Curry has the most clutch points in the entire NBA by a massive, massive margin. Now, this is defined as NBA by NBA.com, right? He has 157 clutch points on the entire year total. The next closest player is DeMar DeRozan, who's got no shot of winning this, with 106 clutch points. That's a massive, massive gap. And he's only played the 4th most clutch minutes in the NBA as well. So it's not like the reason why he has the most is because he's played the most minutes by far. No, he's 4th most. Yeah, still high, not the highest. He also has the second most clutch points per game. So we just looked at total on the year. Per game, he's averaging 5.1 clutch points per game. Only Anthony Simons is above him at 5.2. And he's got the highlight reel moments as well. We all remember that ridiculous three-pointer he hit to beat the Suns. That's going to matter for the Clutch Player Award. For plus 190 odds, even as the betting favorite, give me Steph Curry. Seventh pick for the video, Chris Finch to win Coach of the Year, plus 320 odds at DraftKings. I'm going to be really heavy on the Timberwolves, but might as well just let it ride at this point. If my predictions come true about the Timberwolves, we're going to be cashing out pretty heavily on these three plays. As of right now, Chris Finch is the second favorite to win. Chris Finch, I should say, head coach of the Timberwolves, if that wasn't clear. He's the second best odds at plus 230. As of right now, the favorite is Mark Daigneault, who coaches the Thunder, at plus 170 odds. I totally get the reason why Daigneault is the favorite, right? The Thunder are not only a super young team, but they're also a game out of first in the West, so that makes sense. But if the Timberwolves do confirm my prediction, do end up being the 1 seed in the West, I think that Finch will get the nod. Because even with the young Thunder, I think it's easy to forget how much of a mess the Timberwolves have been for like 25 years now, and especially since they've had Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, they're a talented team. So are the Thunder. SGA is a legitimate MVP candidate for the Thunder. And this Timberwolves team, very similar roster, was a mess literally last year. Finch absolutely deserves credit for getting them to be the best defense in the NBA, the second best record in the NBA, all that stuff. And for getting Rudy Gobert, who had a down year last year, back having one of his best defensive seasons ever, the heavy favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. So for plus 320 odds, yeah, give me Chris Finch to win Coach of the Year. All right, 3 more plays, and now we're getting to some of the spiciest ones. Bet number 8, Clippers to win the West, plus 235 odds at DraftKings. So yeah, I don't have them being the 1 seed in the West. I do have them winning the West. As of right now, they have the second best odds, so they're the second best favorite, plus 235, only behind the Nuggets, who are plus 225. Behind the Clippers are the Suns at plus 750, the Timberwolves at plus 850, and the Thunder at plus 1100. Obviously, there are all the health qualifiers in the world when it comes to the Clippers, with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, even with James Harden at this point in his career. But all 3 of those guys are on pace to play the most games this season that they've played in a long time, since 2019 for James Harden. And this might be the best version of Kawhi we've seen on the Clippers, and the best version of Kawhi we've seen in years, right? He's always been a Terminator in the playoffs, but in the regular season, this is as good as Kawhi has ever looked. And it's kind of a bummer because we've only seen one healthy playoff run for Kawhi as a member of the Clippers. Of course, it was the bubble year when they blew the 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. Prior to that, it was literally the Raptors run when he won the championship for the Raptors. If Kawhi can keep this up, he might be the second best player in the entire playoffs. So I'm saying second best only to Jokic. And even that might be a toss-up. I'll take him over Durant, over Giannis. We've seen playoff Kawhi, just an absolute menace. And then, of course, outside of Kawhi, Paul George, great two-way player. He can take over a game. For the third option, I think that's the perfect role for James Harden, especially in the playoffs. When James Harden decides to disappear, as he does in playoff games, at least they have Paul George and Kawhi to pick up the slack. And then outside of them, I love the role players that they have. If you look at this roster and include star talent and everything, I actually would take the Clippers as the best roster in the NBA. Yeah, I know the Celtics have the top 6, right? The best top 6, but the Clippers would have the best player in Kawhi Leonard, and I just don't trust Jason Tatum in big games. But we're not here to talk about the Celtics. We're here to talk about the Clippers, who I think are going to come out of the West for plus 235 odds. So for our second to last pick, this is the spiciest as well. Give me the New York Knicks to come out of the East at plus 700 odds. The Celtics are the heavy favorite to win the East. They're at plus 130 odds. Yeah, they're obviously the most likely to win if you're just assigned percentages. I don't think there's any value there at plus 130. And I actually like the field over the Celtics to make it out of the East. Of my options of the field, I wasn't going to get there with the Bucks and coached by Doc Rivers, who hasn't made an adjustment since 2008. I wasn't going to get there with the Cavaliers, who have the next best odds at plus 900, because the Cavs had a really poor showing in the playoffs last year. They just got outmanned, out-physicaled, out-everythinged. And I don't think that they have it in them to win 3 straight series in the East, which is going to be a very difficult run this year. And then the Sixers have the 5th best odds at plus 1100. That would be a great value if you told me that Joel Embiid was confirmed to make it back this year, which we don't know if that's going to happen. So the Knicks, who have the 3rd best odds, who I think have an awesome roster, I think have a great chance to make it out of the East. mostly because I love the trades that they made this year, and they have a legitimate superstar in Jalen Brunson. I don't think the NBA world has really come to appreciate Jalen Brunson turning into a legitimate star player in the NBA, and because of that, the Knicks became a fun, plucky, hard-nosed Tibbs team to a legitimate championship contender to come out of the East. They also have a similar health qualifier, not to the same extent as the Clippers, but Randall's hurt, OG Anunoby's hurt. Unlike Joel Embiid, they're actually in line to make it back long before the playoffs, so they should be fine for that. That will need to happen. But before these injuries kind of derailed the current Knicks, since they made the OG Anunoby trade right around New Year's, they had the best defense in the NBA for, a month span. They can get right back to that, not even including the fact that they might even get Mitchell Robinson back as well. I love the Knicks roster. They can play a lot of different ways. They have shooting, they have defense, they have everything you need to make it out of the East. So for plus 700 odds to not take the Celtics, sure, by all means. And then for our last pick, I saved the championship for last, and I'm going with the Clippers, plus 500 odds to win the championship at DraftKings. I'm riding with the Clippers at plus 500 odds to win the title. At the time of this recording, I'm not going to pretend this is the boldest take in the world. They have the third best odds to win the title at plus 500. They're only behind the Celtics at plus 265 and the Nuggets at plus 250. I talked a lot about the Clippers, why I think they're going to win the West. They have everything that you need to win the West. And yeah, while the Celtics might have the best top six in the NBA, I still think the Celtics are missing that top three player that we've seen Kawhi be. We've seen him be the top number one player. I just don't trust the Celtics offense when it comes to crunch time. I don't trust Jason Tatum. Don't quite trust their coach as well. I think Ty Lue is a great coach. And the Clippers, since November 17th, when they really started getting rolling with James Harden, they've been among the best teams in the NBA, just rolling through the NBA. They crushed the Celtics when they did play. And I know I have them beating the Knicks, but I am comparing them to the best teams in the NBA. They even vanquished their demons and managed to beat the Nuggets. So I think the Clippers have everything they need to win, and they're my official prediction as of right now to win the title at plus 500 odds. And there you have it, folks. Our top 10 NBA second half bets that could potentially bring you some pretty serious cash if we get some of these bangers to hit. Remember to always do your research. Remember to analyze the stats and to bet responsibly. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel for more NBA insights. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, may the betting odds be ever in your favor.